I'm going to try to be articulate, but I have to admit that I am incredibly overcome by being in this room with the people who raised me. And I wasn't expecting, thank you, Kari, for the clip in the video of Jimmy's speech at the opening ceremony of Detroit Summer, where I was 16, which was the beginning of my being here today. And I am the product of all of you who have done what Pat said to develop leadership in young people. So you all have parented me, you all are responsible for me being here, and it's hard for me to swirl it around. I've been swimming in Jimmy's words in the last couple of weeks too. The school year just ended. It's a very hard time, the end of the school year. There's all of the wrap up and then the thinking forward to learning what you made mistakes on and what you did wrong or what you didn't get exactly right this year and trying to apply those lessons to the next year while also being really, really tired. And so, as I'm thinking, the quote, Robin, thank you, was in 1987 is, Jimmy said, the level of our human relationships have never been so low. And he also said the community is important because it is in the community that our human identity is created, because it's in community that love, respect, and responsibility to others is nurtured. And it's hard to be in community with people because it's hard to be your most human self when you're tired. And I think that the level of our human relationships have worsened since 1987. I think about our environmental crises. I think about our economic crises. I think about the fact that so many children below my generation have been swimming in war since they were born. I think about the fact that school shootings have become such a norm now. This school is no longer a safe place for people. It wasn't safe for different reasons for a long time, which is what Jimmy and Grace were trying to say, is that our school systems are abusing everyone involved, not just children, but families and teachers and staff included. But now there's also a level of violence that has been accepted in our society. And I think about that trauma. And I've been doing a lot of trauma studying and how it affects learning and how it affects the brain. But a friend of mine who's been consulting with me around that just reminded me that trauma is a community problem. It's not just one person who's a survivor of trauma, but the effects of trauma ripple out. And so you have the survivor, but you also have the witnesses. And witnesses are also affected secondarily by that. And I think about the trauma that school staff experience. I think about the trauma that our families experience. I think about how that ripples to teachers who become exhausted and hyper-aroused and stressed out, and how that ripples out to admin and ripples out to the community. And I just think that we're all living in a space where it's harder to be in community because we're all in so much pain and we're also wounded. And we can't help it. And if we're the way you heal trauma is through human love, right? And you can't have human love without being in human relationships with one another. And it's difficult to do that when your ability to be in relationship is impaired. And so that is the context with which we are trying to move forward at the Boggs School. One of the things Shay said is, after Jimmy's quote of "there'll be no cheap-ass victories," he said there's going to be blood, sweat, and tears. And oh my God, the tears. And I'm also thinking about the Fanon quote about every generation having the responsibility to discover their mission and fulfill or betray it. And I think that we're living in a time where even when you're fulfilling your mission, you're also betraying it at the exact same time. And that's the contradiction that we're working in. Because while I run a school where I think beautiful, wonderful, magical things have happened in relationship with families, in relationship with children, in relationship with one another, I also know that we have done harm. I also know that we are accountable to a state that doesn't hold itself accountable to clean water and affordable housing. I also know that we are accountable to a curriculum that doesn't necessarily capture the knowledges that we believe our children need. They don't capture the knowledges that children believe that they need. And I am complicit in perpetuating that at the same time that I'm trying to create something different. And so I guess not only should we not assume that we're going to have cheap-ass victories, we also should not assume that this is easy work. So there are lots of questions we're still trying to answer with the Boggs School, and I'm incredibly proud of that. I'm incredibly honored to have been taught by so many of you. I think it makes our school better, it makes me better, and there's a lot of work to go. I can't imagine being 12 or 14 right now and wondering if your lifetime is going to, will kids at 12 make it to 100? Like, I don't know, and they don't know. And what does that do to a kid in school? What does that do to our concept of what we should be learning, what we should be doing with one another, and how we move forward with joy, and possibility and hope, while knowing that it could all go away like this because of decisions that people are making, which doesn't make it so that we aren't responsible for making new decisions and different decisions and developing leadership of young people who can make different decisions. So that's all I can, that's just what's going on as I sit here. Right. So thank you.
Thank you.